Brant, here we are, the Week 12 special episode of the Fatboyz Dynasty podcast. Why is that, you may ask? Because, Brant, it is Thanksgiving week, and us Fatboyz get extremely excited about Thanksgiving, football, good food. It's going to be a great time. And I have to start the show off, Brant. I know you want to say hey to the folks, but I got to start the show off. We've already this week, early into the week of the NFL week, we've already got something to be extremely thankful for all of us out there that love fantasy football. The Pittsburgh Steelers, for the first time since 1941, have made a coaching change during the middle of the season. They've not fired a head coach nor a coordinator in the middle of the season since 1941. After 3 years of running that Steelers offense into fantasy football oblivion, Matt Canada's out, Brant. I'm thankful for that this week. I will make sure when I'm holding hands saying grace with the family and we're all naming something we're thankful for, it's going to be the resurgence of Najee Harris, Brant.
Oh, as he's sitting at home with his family going, I don't have a job this Thanksgiving. Thank goodness I already bought my turkey.
He's made millions of – I will never see as much money as Matt Canada has seen for ruining the Pittsburgh Steelers. I could never do anything well enough to get paid what he's gotten for tanking that team. So he's fine.
Absolutely. Definitely should see an uptick in that, just like the Raiders. We saw an uptick in the Raiders when they finally moved on and did some coaching changes. So, yeah, absolutely. That's something to be thankful for. It's going to be interesting to see that going forward. I hope you are correct. I am a owner of Najee in a few leagues, so I do hope you are right there. With that being said, I mean, it is Thanksgiving, good food, good football. My Seahawks play on Thanksgiving. We'll talk about that here in just a little bit. Super excited for this week. And even though I've been coaching a little bit on the side here, Seattle plays on Thursday, so I get to watch them play all the way through this week. I'm super excited for that. But, guys, it's time to break down, talk about some waiver wire. Today's a special episode. We're going to talk about some playoff schedules, some players to look at on your waivers, maybe try to acquire if your trade deadline still is intact. Maybe you're on that championship run and you're in a dynasty league and you're making that run. So we're going to talk about some players, but let's get our bibs on.
Let's eat that Thanksgiving special feast. Sorry, I don't know. It is Thanksgiving week. We've got football Thursday. We've got the first ever Black Friday game with the Jets trotting out a new quarterback under center. It's just going to be a great week. I've already got my stretchy pants ironed. They're hanging up, ready to go with my comfy T-shirts. This whole week is going to be nothing but Thanksgiving food on Thursday, reheated leftover Thanksgiving food on Friday for the Black Friday game. Saturday, maybe I'll try to be a productive member of society and put on some actual pants and get out into society a little bit. And then Saturday, it's right back to the comfy clothes sitting on the couch, Brent.
Probably with still some more leftovers on Sunday as well.
It's a good chance. Probably be eating those all the way through Christmas at this point.
So I hope it's not that long, but I can put some down.
So what a good week for the Fatboyz. We had a Fatboy birthday last week with you, Brent. Turning 72 years old. We got Thanksgiving this week. Let's jump right into it. We had an eventful week 11. We saw some injuries. We saw some things, and I know we're going to touch base on some of those waiver claims. Brant, start me off with one of your favorite waiver claims this week.
favorite waiver claim, it's going to be two guys. I'm just going to go right off the bat with them, and that's A.J. Dillon and Zach Charbonnet. Yes, I know everybody's telling you, go get these guys, go get these guys. Yeah, they're still owned in roughly 50 to 60% of normal redraft leagues. Yeah, they're owned in 50 to 60% of redraft leagues. But go out, see if these guys are available. Kenneth Walker's not playing on Thursday. And the reason I know they haven't ruled him out, but they activated Kenny McIntosh and said that he's going to be playing. And that tells me right there that Kenneth Walker is probably not playing. So Zach Charbonnet should be number one in my mind. A.J. Dillon should be number two. We saw Aaron Jones get banged up. So absolutely, those are my top two guys on waivers. I do have a few more names, but let's see what you got here.
Yeah. So first of all, Brent, I want to say I did actually sit and watch our Seahawks game pretty intently this week. I knew you weren't able to do it, so I had to do it for us this week. And I was actually really surprised and impressed with what I was seeing out of not just the Seahawks offense and Charbonnet, but the whole package as a whole. Pete was going through more gum than usual. I really thought that was, pretty good. He was energized on the sidelines. But no, it was good. Charbonnet looked good. The offensive line, I think, I've only watched a handful of the Seahawks game this year, and most of the time it's on the split screen on Sunday Ticket in the afternoon slate. But I thought the offensive line actually looked better than they had most of the season as well. Defense is starting to come to. I know you don't like how the game ended, but your Seahawks were in that game from start to finish. And I know Walker being gone is going to hurt, but now we get to see what you guys have in second-round rookie Zach Charbonnet. So I like that. Absolutely should be the number one waiver claim if he's out there. Should be picked up. You know who everybody's not telling people to go grab, Brent? Two guys that I've got today to bring to you here. So I'm going to hit you with both of them real quick because I can personally guarantee both of these guys are probably available in almost every league that you're in. The first one is Justin Watson, a man you heard his name called a whole lot on Monday night in that Chiefs versus Eagles contest. Justin Watson is a 27-year-old wide receiver for the Kansas City Chiefs. He's already at a career high in targets this year. Brant, so not a whole lot going on for Justin Watson previously, but he did just finish as the wide receiver 16 on the week this week. He had 11 targets from Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes was looking for Justin Watson more than he was Travis Kelce, more than he was Rashid Rice, more than he was Sky Moore, more than he was MVS. And Brant, I woke up to a text message this morning from you that said simply this: Marquez Valdes-Scantling is looking for a new job. He's fired, right?
He needs to be.
But Patrick Mahomes went to Justin Watson a lot last night, and the drops from some of these other wide receivers make me wonder if maybe this isn't a sneaky pickup for the rest of the season. Now, again, this is not a guy I'm going to go out if I have the number one waiver claim and Charbonnet's sitting there, A.J. Dillon's sitting there, and then I scroll way down the list of names and there's Justin Watson. I'm not putting the number one claim in for him. But this may be a guy that it's like, you know what, I've got a couple bye weeks coming up, whatever, this, that, and the other. Maybe that's a guy I pick up and see if he duplicates it again this week. If not, I drop him, no harm, no foul. In deeper leagues, it's really easy to do. Maybe if you've been carrying two defenses all season, two kickers, something like that, you drop him for Justin Watson and see if maybe he can replicate. We've been saying all year, Brant, the Chiefs are looking for that guy opposite of Travis Kelce. I doubt very seriously it's Justin Watson, but 11 targets are pretty intriguing, especially when they're coming from Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, absolutely, and he did. He looked real good. This Chiefs offense, they're gonna have to figure it out. 26 drops, leads the NFL, and what is it? 9? No, 7. I think it was from MVS, and he also leads the NFL by alone. Man, that was an atrocious drop to end the game last night. I love Watson moving forward. I think you hit the nail on the head with the sneaky pickup. This is a guy that definitely could be talking top 24 wide receiver for the rest of the year with Patrick Mahomes. And you always want a piece of the offense. Well, this guy could be the one to go get. Now, you want to talk about an offense you want a piece of. How about one of the most explosive offenses lately? And that's the Baltimore Ravens. They have been tearing it up lately. And I got to witness it firsthand. It was not an enjoyable witnessing when I went and witnessed it, but this offense has really been tearing it up. And that's Isaiah Likely is the guy out there on waivers. Mark Andrews got hurt last year when Mark Andrews was out, and he played over 50% of the snaps, finished as tight end 2, tight end 9, and tight end 3 in the 3 games that Mark Andrews missed last year. They love their tight end. Isaiah Likely is an athletic freak out there. If you're in need of a tight end and you have that number one claim, you may want to highly consider this because this guy could be a league winner in that offense and everything else. So I really do like Isaiah Likely as a top 3 to 4 pickup this week.
Okay. I'm coming at you with another name, Brant, that's kind of a blast from the past. And this is a guy you were pretty excited about last season, who kind of tailed off into the sunset, if you will. Really haven't heard about him a whole lot. But he did come in. No. This player actually played 75% of snaps this weekend, did not take his shoulder pads off in the middle of the game and walk off the field. This player is a guy that last year we kind of thought he was busting onto the scene, and then he slowly faded into the shrubs and was no longer to be seen. This is Greg Dortch of the Arizona Cardinals, Brant, and I appear to be on a little bit of an Arizona Cardinals bandwagon here of late. I really hyped up Hollywood Brown a couple weeks ago as a guy you should trade for. Rondale Moore was my waiver claim of the week last week. Did catch a touchdown this week, not a whole lot else. But Greg Dortch saw 75% of the snaps for the first time all season this week. Prior to that, I'm talking 5% of snaps, 12% here, 20 there, just all over the place. But 20 was about the highest it got until this week, 75% of snaps. He finished as wide receiver 23 this week, Brant, with no touchdowns, eight targets, 6 receptions. So, this is a guy that didn't find the end zone and still finished as a solid wide receiver 2 this week. Again, I'm not necessarily saying Greg Dortch is somebody you should rush out to go pick up. But if there's an injury on your team where you have to drop somebody, where again, you are carrying those extra defenses, guys like Greg Dortch in the Arizona Cardinals offense, where we're still trying to figure out what it's going to look like with Kyler Murray, which, by the way, it's a lot more explosive with Kyler Murray than it was with Joshua Dobbs. But we're still trying to figure out who Kyler Murray's guy is going to be. Greg Dortch is another guy that you could take a dart throw at. And if it hits, you're going to be really happy for the rest of the season.
Absolutely. I'm going to hit a little more on the Arizona Cardinals here in just a little bit when we start talking about some playoff schedules. Another guy, you want to talk about a blast from the past? How about a guy that's finished as a top 32 wide receiver over the last 3 weeks, and that's OBJ. I witnessed him burst back onto the scene there against Seattle 3 weeks ago. And he has been slowly and steady part of that offense. And OBJ is one of the best blasts from the past. We talked about him, years ago as a top 10 wide receiver, and now he's starting to get back to fully healthy. And I really think that OBJ could really help flex your flex spot moving forward if he's out there on waivers.
Yeah, Brant, and OBJ's not necessarily been somebody that you were in love with coming into this season. I tried to sell you on him a couple weeks ago, and I wasn't really sold on him myself, but I tried to sell you on him. But yeah, OBJ's looked really good. That Baltimore passing game, we have to give a little more credit than we, I guess, initially thought we were going to have to do there, because they do look a little bit better than what we thought they were going to, Brant. And, like I said, I'm not sure any of us saw that coming, but here we are talking about Lamar Jackson as a passing quarterback, which I know is not easy. It's not an easy thing for you and I to do. But nonetheless, here we are talking about them anyway. And yeah, I'm excited about OBJ. I'm excited about Flowers for that matter. Listen, Mark Andrews' injury is unfortunate, Brant, but we should see Rashad Bateman caught a touchdown this week. I can't believe that's not what you led with. But yeah, we should see a resurgence from this Baltimore passing game like we've never seen under Lamar Jackson moving forward, because it's not just all going to be going to Mark Andrews over the middle. We're going to see guys like Zay Flowers coming out of the slot, running down the middle of the field. We'll see some in routes for guys like Bateman and OBJ. And I wouldn't be shocked to see OBJ go back to the slants from the time in New York and really start working some yak ability, Brant.
Absolutely.
All right. So again, we're heading into week 12, Brant. For most leagues where your commissioner has a decent amount of common sense, weeks 12, 13, and 14 are your last 3 weeks to really make that playoff push, get yourself into the playoffs. And then once you're in the playoffs, it's win or you're done, right, Brant? So we got to make sure once we get to the playoffs, if we've already secured it or we're right on the cusp, that we have players that are going to take us home to the promised land, if you will. So we're going to talk about some schedules that we find to be favorable and some guys that maybe we want to fade with the playoff schedule. So, Brant, if you want to start us off with your quarterbacks that have favorable schedules that you like.
These are two guys you can go out and get off waivers. I'm going to start with the first one. That's Derek Carr. He plays the New York Giants, the LA Rams, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. New York Giants give up 16. All these points are off of NFL.com on fantasy points given up or allowed. I'm sorry. New York Giants are giving up 16.5 fantasy points to quarterbacks. The Rams are giving up 16.2, and Tampa Bay is giving up 19.2 fantasy points to the quarterbacks. Yeah, I know it doesn't sound like much, but this is your basic standard scoring when you go to NFL. And this is one of the easiest schedules moving forward. And Carr has the weapons to really help him out. Chris Olave, Alvin Kamara, Raheed Shaheed, who might be on waivers to help you out a little bit. Michael Thomas did go to the IR, but he has some explosive guys that can really take some Hill. He has some explosive guys that can really help him out and get those points and find the end zone. I would not. These are three decent rush defenses as well. So really having to go to the air for New Orleans. And I think Derek Carr could be a guy. And I'm telling you these two names because you go out and get them now. Say you've been streaming quarterbacks all year. You go out and get these two guys right now, and you can be streaming these guys in the 3 weeks of your playoffs. Let's talk about the other one. This is a guy I was huge and high on a couple weeks ago, and he really disappointed me, but I'm going to stay. He's got a big arm. That's Will Levis. I'm going to go with it. And as good as Houston has looked, he plays Houston twice in the fantasy playoffs, and as good as they have looked on offense, their defense has given up quite a bit of passing, quite a bit of fantasy points to quarterbacks at 17 points per game. And that's 2 of the 3 weeks of the playoffs. Will Levis gets Houston. Well, he also gets another team that seems to give up a lot of points. Now they are over the middle, which is a running back area. So Derrick Henry may not be the greatest play, but Tajay Spears could be a little sneaky play here. But Will Levis could be fighting him in week 16 when they play Seattle. Seattle gives up 16.2 points per game for fantasy quarterbacks. And we're right there in the middle of the pack. But the Will Levis and Derek Carr could be two guys you can go out and just start getting on your waivers and start streaming right away.
Absolutely, Brian. So I kind of went a little bit of a different approach here. So I've got two guys that I think you can probably still go out in single quarterback leagues and probably still pick up at this point, and then one that you'd probably have to trade for. So I'm going to start with the one you'd have to trade for first. That's Brock Purdy of the San Francisco 49ers. To this point, like I said, Brock Purdy is currently quarterback 9, Brant. So he's a starting quarterback 1, right at the tail end of it. And he's been sneaky good. And a lot of it's because of his wide receivers and his skill position players making good plays on the ball, plays after the catch, whatever that may be. But this guy's playoff strength of schedule is it's kind of a roller coaster. So really you don't want this guy as your only quarterback on your roster, but he goes from playing in week 15 at the Arizona Cardinals, who are the 26th worst team against the quarterback. Then he plays Baltimore, who are giving up the lowest amount of points to the quarterback. And then he comes back in your championship week and plays the Washington Commanders, who give up the most points to fantasy quarterbacks. So, again, it's kind of a roller coaster of a ride here. You'd have to trade for him. I'm not saying you'd have to give up a huge haul for Brock Purdy because I do think maybe he is a little bit of a systems quarterback. I don't know. But it works out well when you got guys like Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, and George Kittle catching the ball and taking off with it. You're going to put up numbers. The two that I think you can get off waivers that I actually like, initially I wrote one of these down as a guy I don't like a whole lot, but then I did some more research and looked into it a little better. He might have one of the better playoff schedules for a quarterback, Brant. But I'm going to start with the other one. Jordan Love is starting to become a very sneaky fantasy play. He's coming on a little bit lately. The yards are starting to get a little bit better. The touchdown equity is starting to be there. This guy plays Tampa Bay, which is the 29th worst team against the quarterback. Has a tough matchup against the Carolina Panthers, who are the 5th best against the quarterback. Who saw that coming? And then again finishes it with a middle-of-the-road game against a divisional rival Minnesota Vikings in the championship week. So, again, a guy you can probably pick up off waivers. He's currently quarterback 12, Brant. So, in a 12-team league, he's a quarterback 1 right now. He might be available in your waivers. And then last but not least, this is a guy that I wasn't sold on initially when I was writing down these names, Brant. I actually had him written down as a negative. And then I looked into it a little bit deeper. Joshua Dobbs of the Minnesota Vikings, Brant, plays the 24th ranked Carolina or Cincinnati Bengals pass defense. I would have never ever guessed this in a million years. The Detroit Lions are atrocious against the pass, Brant. The 27th against passing team against fantasy points to the quarterback. And then he ends it week 17 against the Green Bay Packers, who are currently 14th at the giving up fantasy points to the quarterback. So again, Jordan Love and Josh Dobbs, I think, are guys that you can go get on the waivers. And then Brock Purdy's a trade option. Maybe you roll into the playoffs with two of these guys. Maybe you go with Joshua Dobbs and Brock Purdy. That way you can rotate them out a little bit potentially. Because, again, Brent, without a quarterback putting up that 20-plus point spot, you're really playing an uphill battle.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And like you said, like I said, if you're streaming quarterbacks all season, this is the time to really get ahead of the curve now, because you don't want to be sitting there going, oh, I got to use my waiver claim on this guy, and he's already picked up or somebody's ahead of you. You have to be ahead of the schedule right now.
Mm-hmm.
So let's jump into the next position, and this is the running back position, and what I got, and one of my favorites is the New England running back position. That could go for either one. Either one could be easily acquired because it's not a fully given backfield, and their strength and their schedule is they get the Kansas City Chiefs, who have been known to give up quite a bit to the run. They're middle of the road. They're 18 points per game given up to the running backs. Like I said, just there in the middle of the road. Then they go and they get Denver, who has given up 31 points total per game to the running backs. That is the most. They are the worst against the run for fantasy running backs. So, your running backs, that's the best schedule there. I know I said it backwards there. But so then they get them, and then they go and they play Buffalo, who has not been very good against the run. They're giving up an average of 23 points per game to running backs. So go out, get either one of these guys. These guys could really help you out too. And they're probably easily acquired, just like this other set that I'm going to go with. That's Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren. Go out and get one of them. They get Indy. Indy's giving up 25 points per game. Then they get Cincy, who's giving up 21. And I believe I've already said it. Seattle loves to let the middle of the field wide open and running backs catch it. Pittsburgh gets them in the championship, and Seattle gives up 24 points to running backs per game on season average. Great schedule for all four of these running backs. Could be easily acquired. I think that these guys could be your running back too. And you know what? If they take over a backfield right now in the next couple of weeks, these guys could really be your top running back for your playoff push.
Absolutely. And like you said, Brant, I think a big part of it's going to be the volume. And those guys both Jaylen Warren and Najee Harris both get volume every week. Neither one of them ever go empty-handed. Neither one of them sit out on passing downs. Those guys both add value total. And if either one of them happens to get hurt after you get them, or, we'll see what happens with Matt Canada moving forward. But if either one of them takes a lead role, they're a league winner. Brant.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm going to go with two running backs that are in the same division as Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren, Brant, and they're both guys that, again, the price tag's probably going to be a little bit middle of the road for both of these teams, or both of these running backs, because they both just lost their starting quarterback within the last 10 days, Brant. Jerome Ford is the first one I want to talk about, who, for all intents and purposes, is the new Nick Chubb in Cleveland, at least this year. He's got the Chicago Bears, who are the 25th worst team against the run, the Houston Texans, 16th worst team against the run, and the New York Jets, which that doesn't sound good in championship week, but they're the 24th worst team against the run in fantasy. So again, a very, very consistently good schedule for a guy who's going to get the rock a decent amount, Brant. All right. The other one here, I saw you giving me that look. And yes, this is one of your running backs in Dynasty that you're probably not the most high on him right now. His schedule is really not that great, but let me tell you about this for a minute, Brant. Joe Mixon of the Cincinnati Bengals, who now has Jake Browning under center, plays the Minnesota Vikings, currently the 8th best team against the fantasy running back position. The Pittsburgh Steelers, currently the 20th best team against the running back position. And then the Kansas City Chiefs, the 12th best team in championship week against the running game. Now, here's the thing, though, Brant. Okay. No Joe Burrow. Okay. Probably not going to have a whole lot to play for these Cincinnati Bengals late in the season. rest your running back, though. He's not sitting for next year to be healthy. These guys only have so many ticks on the clock, if you will. Okay. Pittsburgh Steelers, that's a divisional game. Zach Taylor's not waving no white flags in that contest. He's going to want to go out and beat Mike Tomlin. He's going to want to go out and beat the Pittsburgh Steelers, which isn't that hard. Kenny Pickett's under center. It's no better than Jake Browning. Okay. And I think, Brant, moving forward, Joe Mixon is going to be the focal point of the Cincinnati Bengals offense. And the look you just made when I brought him up as a playoff winner, potentially, is the look you're going to get from a lot of people when you go knocking on their door saying, Mr. So-and-so, what would it take for me to acquire running back Joe Mixon? A lot of people think right now there's probably no value. A lot of people in dynasty leagues are probably like, well, there goes, his value. I can't wait to get out from under. Maybe you get him a little cheaper right now than you probably should. And this guy's volume alone that I expect to see in weeks 15, 16, and 17 carries you to a championship, Brant.
I hope you're right, because that's a tough schedule to have.
Now, let me tell you about a worse schedule, if you're ready for that. Saquon Barkley is a running back I want no part of when it comes to the playoffs. The first reason is Tommy DeVito. That man is not going to be throwing touchdown passes like that very often, Brant. But this guy plays over the stretch, he plays the fourth best run defense in fantasy in the New Orleans Saints. Then he plays the number 1 rated defense against the fantasy running back in the Philadelphia Eagles in week 16. And then just to tie a bow on it, he plays the 9th best run defense in the Los Angeles Rams in the championship week. If you are a Saquon Barkley owner, Brant, it may be time to start panicking just a touch. I'm not sure this man carries you in the playoffs this year.
No, that's an absolute atrocious matchup for him. He is one guy that I absolutely hate. And the other guys that I absolutely hate, I'm gonna talk about here. Actually, you know what? We've already talked about it. I'm gonna throw it out. The Seattle running backs. I know I told you go get Zach Charbonnet. They play Philly, you just said, is the toughest defense against the run. Mm-hmm. Then they get Tennessee, who we've all have seen can get torched by the pass, but stuff the run pretty well. They only allow 18 total points. Then they play Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's front 7 is no slouch. Pittsburgh gets beat by the pass more than they do the run. Seattle has probably, if I had to rank it, probably the 28th, 29th worst schedule for running backs. Those are guys I'm trying to get out from underneath. I'd really like to see what Charbonnet brings to the table. He is the pass catching back, but there could be a bigger issue in Seattle with Kenny McIntosh being activated. You may see this backfield become a 3-headed monster, and against that schedule, I don't know if I want anything to do with it. And unfortunately, in our dynasty league, I'm sitting there holding on to the entire backfield. I think I missed out on Kenny, but that's it. So that's just a bad matchup, but you got to go get the bad in order to get the good with dynasty. So I'm going to hold on to him and let's see what happens. Let's talk about another guy that I love. You talked about him a couple of weeks ago. Go out and get him. You still should go out and get him. And that's the Arizona Cardinals, Marquise Brown. Go get any of these wide receivers you can get your hands on. They play San Francisco. I know that sounds horrible. Nah, San Francisco gives up 38 points to the wide receivers. Total. This is total wide receivers. So they play San Francisco, who can get beat by the pass. Then they play Chicago, who is atrocious against the pass, giving up 34 points. And then, who's the best run defense? Philly?
Philadelphia Eagles. Yes, sir.
They're also the worst pass defense against fantasy. They give up 46 points total to wide receivers. So, and they really didn't get beat too bad by Kansas City. You could say, oh, that's all lopsided because Patrick Mahomes just beat them or just played them. But really, Patrick Mahomes didn't have the greatest game of his career. So, Philly is not good against the pass. And Marquise Brown, the Arizona Cardinals, they have a pretty good schedule. And Kyler Murray's playing for his job right now. Or playing for a bigger payday to get shipped somewhere. Not sure what he's playing for, but he's definitely playing for something. And that is one of the
playing Call of Duty right now, I'm sure.
Well, right now, yeah, he doesn't have any film or anything to watch, right? But my other set of receivers that I like is the running backs that I hate, and that's Seattle. Talked about their schedule. Philly, Tennessee, Pittsburgh, all three get beat pretty bad about the pass. Seattle's wide receivers are guys that I would like to go after. And the guy that's a sneaky little pick to go after, get cheap, maybe in some shorter leagues, JSN off of waivers. He is starting to come on strong. We see rookies always come on strong at the end of the year. This could be that rookie that we're talking about in the first, second round next year in dynasty leagues because of his age and because of what could possibly be getting tied with him. I like the Seattle pass catchers for the playoffs.
Well, if you're going to toot the horn of your Seattle Seahawks pass catchers, it's only natural that I come at you with my Atlanta Falcons wide receiver, Brant. And I think part of me is just so stubborn that I expect this to just get better after a bye week. And I'm really holding out hope that, Arthur Blank told Arthur Smith, you're going to have to go work for your daddy who owns FedEx if you don't right the ship. And something's going to get better. And I think the one consistent part of the offense in Atlanta, Brant, and you can't even say it's Bijan Robinson because Tyler Algier gets more carries every week, is Drake London. I think Drake London has become matchup proof. I think Drake London has become Taylor Heineke or Des Ridder proof to this point. And I really like his schedule. I don't know if I should, but they play the number 5th ranked Carolina Panthers, 5th best against the pass. However, J.C. Horn is hurt, should be out for missing some time. That's going to be big for passing on the Carolina Panthers. Then they go play the Indianapolis Colts, who just left or cut their defensive captain today to waivers and Shaq Leonard. And then they end up in the championship week against the Chicago Bears, who, to my knowledge, the Chicago Bears don't want to stop anybody and have it to this point, Brant. So I really like Drake London. No, I really like Drake London moving forward, especially as the playoffs enter. And I'm really excited. So if you're okay with it, I'm going to hit this next position first, Brant. Unless you have anything you want to add about Drake London, I really want to get my tight end out there.
No, I hope you're right on Drake London. I really like him, and I really hope you're right on that one.
So if I could tell you, all right, Brant, and I know you're sitting in this spot where you need some tight end pixie dust sprinkled over your dynasty roster, right? You need one right now.
Dallas Goedert's coming back, right?
You're missing Dallas Goedert. You really, 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 really need that tight end. What if I told you I could put together and sprinkle a remaining schedule for the fantasy season where your tight end gets to play the 32nd ranked team against the tight ends, the 20th ranked team against tight ends, the 25th ranked team against tight ends, the 29th ranked team against tight ends, the 31st ranked team against tight ends, and then the championship week, he would play his best defense of the stretch and the 19th ranked team against the tight ends. Would you be pretty interested in said player?
I would be. I'm trying to think who plays Arizona this week.
You'd probably, well, it's not Arizona, sir. You'd probably really, really be interested in probably going out and acquiring this player, I would imagine. What if I even told you that to make things better, he's going to be catching passes from a very unproven quarterback who we know, Brant. Who do they like to target? Who do they like to get the ball to?
Tight ends.
This is David Njoku of the Cleveland Browns, who you currently own in Dynasty, Brant. This guy is going to be a league winner at the tight end position. This is the juiciest schedule. There is not one bad matchup for David Njoku the rest of the season. He's got DTR, Dorian Thompson-Robinson throwing him the ball. And this man is a proven commodity at the tight end. I know it's been frustrating in the past because he doesn't do it every single week. But Brant, if I don't have a Travis Kelce, if I don't have a George Kittle, or I guess at this point Laporta or Dalton Kincaid, give me the guy who's got the best schedule every week, and it's David Njoku. You don't have to take him out of your lineup. This guy is a guy that I really think is going to help a lot of people win fantasy championships, Brant. And I think that you should go ahead and lay some of your tight end worry to rest. That schedule's too good.
Okay. All right. He's so frustrating to own. He looked good this week, though, so we'll see. I hope you're right. So we're talked about things that we love. Do you have any more players that you love or spots you're ready to get into?
I'm done with everything. You take it from here.
A quarterback and a wide receiver duo that I hate. And it's so hard to say that I hate these guys because they're so good. That's the Miami Dolphins. Now, not telling you, go bench Tyreek Hill. I'm not telling you that. I'm telling you to be cautious. They play the New York Jets, the Dallas Cowboys, and the Baltimore Ravens in the playoffs. That, so you get what? Sauce? Whoever the secondary is at Dallas, not sure, but they're still only giving up 13.5 points to the quarterback position and only 25 total to the wide receiver. And then you get Baltimore, whose secondary has been amazing. 9 points to the quarterback and 29 to the wide receivers. This is a schedule I don't like. If you think Tyreek's going to be the guy that carry you to a championship, I hope you have some good pieces around him because he's going to need some help. This 30 point weeks, you're not going to see in the playoffs against that defense. The only way you do is if the Jets are completely out of playoff contention. Other than that, and that's only 1 week because Dallas is not going to be out of playoff contention. Baltimore is going to be in the number 1 seed contention at that time. They definitely aren't resting their starters on defense. There's no way you can trust Tyreek, Jalen Waddle, and Tua to lead you to the championship. You have to build some pieces around it. We're giving you the pieces to hopefully help build around them. Yes, Tyreek will still probably hang you 15 points per week. But this explosion, 200 yards a week, 3 touchdowns, or everything that he's done, it's not going to happen in the playoffs. I hope you go out and you acquire some pieces to go around him. I hope he does get to 2,000 yards, though. I may or may not have, put a little money down preseason on somebody getting 2,000. Right now, we're looking good.
All right, there you go. All right, Rank, so that pretty well wraps up our playoff schedules. Let's get into a very exciting schedule, which is that Thanksgiving slate, Brent. So we're going to start the day with the Packers at the Lions. Lions favored by 7.5. Vegas has put a 46.5 point over-under line on this game so far. Who do you like in this contest, Brent? Is there anybody that you're like, yeah, they're not coming out of my lineup at this point?
I'm around St. Brown. I mean, he's going to blow up on this defense. Packers are not very good against the pass. Jared Goff's coming back. St. Brown is going to be one guy that I absolutely obviously he's not coming out of my lineup. I love St. Brown this week. I love Gibbs. I love Monty. I love the Detroit Lions to steamroll the Green Bay Packers to open up Thanksgiving and, give us a pretty little warm-up for the football to come. I expect this game. The Packers could be missing Aaron Jones. They're coming off a good win this week. But the Detroit Lions are red hot, 8-2, going to try to really show why they're clinching that division. I'm thinking the Lions steamroll on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, and so, Brent, I think the Lions are one of the best run game teams in football right now with that two-headed monster of David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. And the Pittsburgh Steelers just put up like 250 yards rushing against them a couple weeks back. And so if Matt Canada can figure out how to run for 250 yards against them, Dan Campbell's going to and Brian Johnson are just going to have this Packers defense on their heels all game. This is going to be an all Lions contest off the jump. I love it for the Detroit Lions side of the ball. Next contest we're moving into, these are just all such good games because they mean so much. You have the Washington Commanders at the Dallas Cowboys. 10.5 point favorites are the Cowboys and a 48.5 point line by Vegas, Brant. First question I'm going to have. You called it this week. I'm going to let you have your pat on the back. You called the Tony Pollard game this week. Does Tony Pollard score again this week? Is it 2 weeks in a row?
Don't think so. I don't. I hope he does. I do. I'm not even a Tony Pollard owner, but I hope he scores. Man.
The question is, how many people had him on their bench this week when he did that? Because
if they listen to this fat guy Sunday morning, I hope you didn't have him on your bench because I was high on him. I don't think he scores this week. I do like the pass game in Dallas. This game is a great game for you to take that. After lunch Thanksgiving meal nap. This is a great game to do that during because there's not going to be anything impressive with this game. How is Washington going to move the ball? How are you going to run on that defense? Then you got to try to pass on that defense with Sam Howell. I don't know if they move the ball more than 150 total yards. Give me the Dallas to come out on fire. And they're at home too. I absolutely love this week.
So I will say this, Brant, and maybe it's because I'm delusional as an owner at this point, but I'm not sitting Brian Robinson.
Oh, absolutely not.
10,
no.
Top 10 back, even against the Dallas Cowboys. I think he still moves. I think he has to be the way this Washington team moves the ball. Otherwise, they're going to be really unsuccessful. But yes, Cowboys in a rout. And then the game that's going to be most near and dear to you this week, Brant, the San Francisco 49ers travel to play the Seattle Seahawks on the Thursday night football game. 49ers are favored by 7 points and a 43.5-point line put out by Vegas, Brant. Charbonnet, is he a must start this week? Or are you a little nervous about the 49ers defense?
I am nervous. I am going to start Charbonnet because something in my big belly here, in this gut right here, tells me I think Charbonnet is going to lower the boom on that defense and set the tone. He doesn't juke people out. He runs you over. And I think he's going to run through the middle of that line. I'm not saying he's going to go run through Chase Young and Nick Bosa. I think they might match him. That could be a little runaway train head-on collision. This is the 51st meeting, by the way. I did look up a little history between it. Is the 51st meeting between these two. But I really, really like Charbonnet this week. They're going to ease Kenny McIntosh in. DJ Dallas just hasn't been impressive. I think Zach Charbonnet is a must start. He had 6 catches this past week. I think he replicates that, if not more. You may be talking about a Christmas. If you remember Christmas Day a few years ago, what was it? Alvin Kamara with 5 touchdowns. You may be talking about a huge game out of Zach. 6 touchdowns. You may be talking about a huge game out of Zach Charbonnet. And if you leave him on your bench, you may be regretting this. I'm calling it right now. I think Zach Charbonnet finds the end zone at least twice. I think he sees 10 catches. And I think he goes over 20 fantasy points this week.
If there's a running back in this contest that could score 6 games, Brant, or 6 touchdowns, Brant, it's CMC.
That's why I only said 2. I don't think he's going to score. I don't think CMC is going to score 2.
Listen, okay, if I have to bet my house payment on one running back scoring multiple touchdowns in this contest, it's not going to be Zach Charbonnet against the Niners defense. It's going to be CMC against your Seahawks. I'm just saying it is what it is. I know. Listen, it's hard to hear. I get it. But man, we haven't seen Charbonnet find the end zone yet this year, and you're calling the breakout for 2. I like it. It's big, and if everybody starts him this week with some confidence, and he does that, people are going to go nuts. They'll be saying, "Who's Kenneth Walker?" So we'll see, Brent. We'll see, Brent. Okay, and then it wouldn't be fair, it wouldn't be right if we didn't at least talk about this for a split second. Friday, the first ever Black Friday contest, we're going to have the Miami Dolphins at the New York Jets. 9.5-point favorites are the Dolphins. 41-point spread by Vegas, so kind of a low spread. We do get Tim Boyle under center for the New York Jets, Brent, instead of Zach Wilson. Not necessarily the guy I thought we were going to see under center. I was thinking maybe it'd be Trevor Siemian. Does Tim Boyle make you at all more excited about this Jets offense, or is this just a moot point at this point?
I like Hall. That's about all I like right now. Wilson did not look good this past week. You don't know what you're going to get out of him. I don't know if you could take him out. He probably can take him out because I'm pretty sure he's going to find Ramsey in a matchup this week for quite a bit of the matchups. I like Hall, and that's about the only thing I like on the Jets side. I'm curious to see what Miami can draw up against that pass defense there in the Jets. I am curious to see. I will be watching because I am very, very curious to see what they can do. And if I'm not mistaken, they play them in the playoffs. Yep, that first week. So you could be getting a little teaser. And if they find a way to beat it, you could be getting a little teaser on what is coming forward in that game and in your playoffs.
Absolutely, Brant. So again, a big week for us. There's a strong chance that the Fatboyz may be live both Thursday morning as well as Sunday morning to help you get ready for this week because there's 4 games between Thursday and Saturday or Sunday morning this week. We don't want to leave you guys high and dry, so we'll be putting something out about that tomorrow, hopefully, one way or the other. So stay tuned for that, guys. And, I think that's about it for us this week, Brant.
Absolutely. It's a big, big week for big boys. And as always, stay hungry.
And get fatter, my friends.